The streets of Cameroon tremble once again. In the days following President Paul Biya's declaration of victory for an eighth consecutive term, anger and hope collide in the heart of the nation. Across Douala, Yaoundé, and Bafoussam, smoke curls into the sky as protesters face off with police. Tires burn, tear gas clouds the air. But amid the chaos, one thing stands tall: the voices of a people refusing to be silenced. From city corners to rural roads, Cameroonians, especially the youth, are demanding change. Their chants carry the same message: Biya must go. For many, this is not just a protest against an election result. It's a cry for liberation from more than 4 decades of rule under one man. Though the Constitutional Council announced that Paul Biya won with 53.66% of the vote, while his challenger, Issam Chiro Bakari, earned 35.19%, many citizens insist the outcome was manipulated. They claim the people's true choice was ignored, that democracy itself has been stolen. Paul Biya, now 92, has ruled Cameroon since 1982. If he serves out this new 7-year term, he will remain in power until nearly 100. To many, this victory feels less like a triumph of democracy and more like a familiar repetition, a déjà vu that haunts Cameroon's political life. "We've seen this story before," says a young protester in Douala. "Only the faces of the protesters change, not the ending." But this time something feels different. The determination pulsing through the streets carries a new kind of energy, youthful, fearless, and connected to the global wave of African change. Across the continent, young people are rising to demand fair governance and dignity. From Sudan to Burkina Faso, from Gabon to Madagascar. In some of these nations, soldiers join the people's call for reform. But in Cameroon, the military remains fiercely loyal to Biya, making the possibility of a peaceful transition uncertain. The government's response has been swift and harsh. Clashes between protesters and police have already left several dead and dozens injured. Over 30 opposition activists tied to Bakari's campaign have been arrested. Yet instead of fear, the violence has only deepened public resolve. In the streets, people sing freedom songs, wave flags, and speak of a new dawn. Each chant, each tear gas canister, each moment of defiance feels like a line in the story of a nation on the verge of transformation. Cameroon was once seen as one of Central Africa's most stable countries, but after 43 years under Biya's tight control, that stability feels hollow, more like paralysis than peace. Every major institution, from the judiciary to the media, orbits around his power. Dissent is stifled, and promises of reform dissolve into empty speeches. To many, Biya's regime represents the final shadow of an old political era that Africa's youth are now courageously trying to end. Behind the political theater, another force quietly looms: France. The former colonial ruler has maintained deep ties with Cameroon for decades, offering financial aid, military cooperation, and diplomatic backing to Biya's government. French President Emmanuel Macron publicly acknowledged in 2022 France's colonial wrongs in Cameroon, yet critics say little has changed. Paris's continued silence in the face of recent unrest feels, to many Cameroonians, like complicity, the echo of old alliances out of step with the new generation's dreams. As the protests spread, France faces a familiar moral dilemma: whether to continue supporting an aging strongman for the sake of stability or to align itself with the youth's call for freedom. Observers recall similar moments elsewhere, when France hesitated during Madagascar's crisis, and again in Burkina Faso and Gabon. Each time, history demanded a choice between loyalty to the past and responsibility to the future. If the resistance in Cameroon continues to grow, it could force France to confront that choice once more. Analysts whisper of possible scenarios: Biya might one day retire quietly in France, as other long-ruling African leaders have before him, or France might be compelled to distance itself altogether from Yaoundé. Either way, the winds of change seem to be blowing stronger than ever. Cameroon today stands at a knife's edge. The protests could ignite deeper violence or inspire true reform. The youth are determined, the government unyielding, and the world is watching. The question is no longer just whether Paul Biya will step down, but whether the international community, especially France, will continue to stand by him if the situation turns catastrophic. In the end, this is not only a story about one man's power, but about a generation's courage. For 43 years, Paul Biya has shaped Cameroon's story, but now the youth are writing the next chapter, a story of defiance, unity, and hope. They are tired of waiting for change. They are becoming the change. France may still hold the pen of diplomacy, but Cameroon's people now hold the torch of destiny. This is the African Discovery, uncovering Africa's untold stories